everyone. Back for another chat. Very interesting topic today. I have a feeling, I'm just feeling it in my waters that this is going to be a good one. I do have to say we had a choice of, I just wanted to share this a little bit. We did have a choice of what we were going to call this topic.
Yeah.
And I want to tell you that my husband actually really liked your suggestion about the past ruining.
My past is ruining my present.
Yeah.
And I was kind of attached to it when I wrote it. And you're like, oh, I want to talk about that. Whatever that is, I want to talk about it. And then you offer yours. I'm like, you know what? I kind of like the positive spin of like doing something about it as opposed to being stuck in it. Right.
But he related to the being stuck in it. And I was like, well, that's interesting reveal.
Oh, and then the gift that I sent you was like, what is it? Was it, we're trapped, or I'm trapped, or something like that. So
that's right. Yeah. So that's yeah. So did you want to start this conversation?
Yeah. Do you want to see my notes on this one?
Oh, there are a few.
I got a title. I got a date. I got you on there because I don't remember your name. No, it's ridiculous. Okay. So this week has been a challenging week for me.
Okay.
And not outwardly, like things outside of me are fine, right? There's nothing, it's all inside and inside. And so I've been toying with the idea of going back and coaching CrossFit in like part-time here and there, a few hours a week. And I don't know why, I keep thinking about like, I don't know, it'd be fun to do it again. Like it'd be fun to reintegrate myself with that community. And like there's so many things I really enjoyed about the community and being there and helping other people out in a different way. But I have a ton of anxiety around the idea. And the closer I got to it, the more anxious and tight and weird I felt inside. I talked to one of the owners because she reached out to me at one point, and I said, yeah, let's talk about it. I'm curious because I've been thinking about it too. So we've just poked at each other a couple of times over the last few months. This past week, we actually had a conversation about it. And she's like, why don't you talk to the head coach and see how things are running now and if it works for you. And I scheduled that appointment and I met with him, but I still had a ton of like internal stress inside of me. And the only thing that I can think about why I feel that way is because when I was there for the year that I did do this, I put so much pressure on myself to perform, to do well, to sound, I don't know, intelligent in what I was trying to teach and whatnot. And if I ever had one of them in the class, whether it was for evaluation purposes or they were, let's say they're someone who I knew was like experienced and they were taking the class, I would be in my head so much that I was no longer present in the room. I'd be kind of going through the motions of what I needed to do, but I was still in my head. So I know I probably didn't come off as the best coach during those moments. So honestly, what I think it is or was and is still, I guess, is me reliving that stressor of not being enough, not being competent, it just basically re-immersed me in the feeling that I had then, but I'm currently living it now, but I'm not in front of the room. I don't have anybody in front of me. I'm not coaching how to snatch or clean and jerk. Like none of that's there, but I'm still feeling exactly the same way that I did 3 years ago. So I wanted to, because this was so prevalent in my insides this week, I wanted to share that because literally my past, I'm letting my past ruin my present because I'm freaking out about how I felt back then and the fact that I am putting myself back in that position potentially to feel the same. Yeah, and I just want to share one more thing.
Go for it.
I got a little respite of relief. I think the afternoon before I was going to go meet the coach. And I don't know what happened is if I finally shut my brain off and disconnected from whatever that feeling was long enough where I could breathe and actually feel my breath again deep, versus being shallow and almost hyperventilating over something that's not real.
That's exactly it, isn't it? It's these stories we make up in our head and we hold them to be true and we just keep them on repeat. It's always interesting being put backwards in time. I usually experience this when it comes to my family, my side of the family. I'll have a conversation with a sister and I'll suddenly be 14 again, or and I'm like, remember, Chris, you're in your 50s. You've lived a little life. You're not 14 anymore. But I get transported. And it can be really tough because we're looking through that set of circumstances rather than our current. And this is what you're talking about, isn't it? Like being back in the room, having all the pressure on yourself.
I've had this experience in the past, but usually it's been with ex-girlfriends, right? Where something didn't go well or whatever. It could be years later. And then you bump into them and it's like, it all comes
I think
back.
I think it happens when we have emotional attachment to something. So it doesn't surprise me that for me, it's the family stuff and it's emotional attachment. So it makes sense that you would have emotional attachment to wanting to do well and the pressure that you placed on yourself and all of those things. And then those familiar emotions come up. So it's really fascinating trying to move out of that. I find I actually embrace the going back a little bit. And one of the reasons is that I know that I'm a different person now. So yes, I'm talking about my experiences going from being currently 50 plus and heading back into being 14. I should go the other way. So going back into 14. And so that's quite a jump. And so I can make it logical that I'm no longer 14. I don't have to look through those filters. But what I do is I embrace it a little bit because it lets me process some things because it's come up for me to pay attention to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I find that it's beneficial to not stay there for too long. However, to sort of pay attention a little bit to what is being brought through, and it's being brought through to me to look at, sure, through the filter of a 14-year-old, but that's going to make me pay attention, right? Because I don't want to feel like I'm 14 anymore. Mm-hmm. I don't like it. It's not comfortable. It's not where I want to be. So I'll pay attention. So I need to make sure that I pay attention. So I embrace the uncomfortableness a little bit. And then I go, yeah, okay, well, I'm sure at 14, God knows what I did at 14. I would have been a horror, no doubt. But that's not how I would respond to this now. So now I can make a choice whether I'm going to respond to the circumstance as a 14-year-old or as who I am now. Mm-hmm. But I allow myself the choice. And let's bring it back to how many years ago would you have done that year-long?
2 to 3 years ago.
So it's not quite as easy when it's only 2 or 3 years ago because we feel like we're kind of like the same person.
I'm 46. I got kids that are growing up. I think I'm a grown-ass man, but maybe I'm not a grown-ass man. I don't know.
Compared to 2 or 3 years ago, you're pretty much the same person, and yet we evolve and change every day. Yet psychologically, we don't allow ourselves to, it's the classic, well, okay, I'm in my 50s and I still think like I did, well, I I think like I did when I was 25. I feel like I'm 25. My body reminds me sometimes that I'm not, but I feel like I am. So it can be harder when we're just going back in time 2 or 3 years, because we feel like we're the same person. But we've got to remember that, like, you're different. I get to cheat a little bit because I've known you for a little longer now. So I know that you're different. You've had different growth things. You've had evolutionary things. You've had circumstances that have brought great awareness to you. So you can't be the same person.
No, I'm not. And having the freedom of choice has been helpful in this situation as well, because back then, part of me felt like I had to do it. Like I needed a way to make some money, and like I put a lot of pressure on myself for that to be a part of my income stream. Now, in my current circumstance, definitely don't need to be doing it. So I'm coming from it from a different place. I don't need it for cash. It's nice to get some, but it's not the big reason. And I think part of this for me is the learning that I know I can get about overcoming this, right? Like moving through it, being comfortable sharing that I'm not comfortable where I'm at or what I'm doing, or that I need help. Because I don't think I was comfortable enough then to ask for that support.
No, because you would have just been a little bit in fight and flight survival mode, just getting through.
Right. And I know my body stores that energy. So just like an ex-girlfriend, it's or boyfriend or whatever, like when you've had kind of a traumatic circumstance, you embody that emotion and that feeling, and then it can come back to you with a song or a scent or an experience, or you saw their car, or what doesn't matter.
You drive past their house. Oh,
okay. Now it's getting a little creepy. But you're right. You can be like triggered in an instant by those things, because it brings you back there, because it's stored in your body, in your mind, in your heart, in your emotions. So being able to know now that I have choices, I can choose to look at this a different way, and I can see it as learning, but I'm also not locked into it. There's nothing that says that I've got to stay for 5 years, or that I've got to be the best coach they have, or like none of that is there. Like I can only be the best version of me that's there. Right.
Yeah, which probably wasn't a prominent thought when you first did it.
I guarantee it was not. I actually did an exercise this morning. I don't know if I have it here or not. I can't remember the name of it. It's an Esther Hicks thing. Something wheel or whatever.
Okay.
I can't remember what she calls it. Anyways, basically, I just wrote in the center the name of the business that I'm going to go do this for. And then I just wrote a series of statements that are truths for me from where I stand. Not things that I don't believe in, but things that I do believe in. Like I'm supported, I'm safe. I don't have to do this. I can do this because I want to. It doesn't matter. As long as you didn't stretch too far away from your reality, it feels good to continue to add spokes to that wheel as you go around the topic, the question, the concern that you've got. And by the time you're done, you've kind of raised your vision and version of it, because you've been able to play in a safe place that allows you to kind of expand and sit in it, as opposed to wallow in the I don't knows and what ifs and what if I did it again.
What a great tool to embrace it. Yes.
Focus wheel.
I love it.
Focus wheel. Look it up.
There you go.
So that's where I've been, at least the last week or so. But I'm feeling that there's a bit of a lightening to it now. And I have committed and said that we're going to try it. I'm going to try it on. So I'm going to try it on. That doesn't mean that I am when I go to the store and I put on the pair of pants. Oh, no, you bought them. Those are yours. You got to take them home now.
Yeah, you're allowed to try it on and go, maybe not. Yeah, that's right.
I get to see if it's a better fit for me now.
Yeah, and anything we do the second time around, like you say, it can come with all of the original emotional attachment that we had to it. But I've also noticed when I do something for the second time, I do it with, I deliberately, consciously think, I've actually been down this road before. I'm just here to learn that's something new, so that I don't put as much, it sort of alleviates some of the pressure of everything I have to know or be or anything. I can just do the one thing because I've done it before. I also wanted to talk about the reprieve you felt, because I felt that too.
What do you mean?
The reprieve of that you said you had, where you just felt like you didn't have any of the anxiety. It was all, there was just, you were able to breathe.
It didn't
I
last long.
find,
It didn't last long because I started thinking about it again. But I think this is another Esther Hicks reference, but something like you can't see the solution from the end of the problem, right? Like if you're on a train, it's going one way or the other. You're going 100 miles an hour in the direction of the anxiety and the spinning and that kind of thing, or you can go in the direction of positivity and possibility and what can I learn from this, and see it from a different energy. But before you go from 100 miles an hour that way to going that way, you need to actually slow down and stop.
You need a pause. Yeah.
That pause for me was on the drive. I probably started at some point during the workday because I got so wrapped up in a project and something I had to focus on that wasn't this. And then when I left the office that day, I had a nice drive. It was really peaceful and quiet. And it was during that stretch where I was like, I'm breathing again. Like I feel close to normal. So that was my slowing down at some point during the day into my drive, because I stopped thinking about the thing.
Yeah. So confession, I think I overthink everything all the time. I even commented to my husband last night, oh, I haven't used my weighted blanket for the last 5 days. Winning, anxiety is not being a feature at the minute. That's how much of a feature it is in my world.
Mm.
So I've created strategies to deliberately do what you just said. So during the day, I can get caught up on anything and everything, really. I will be overthinking. I will see an email come in, and it's like a project I'm working on at the moment. An email can come in. There's 4 of us that are part of that project. And it's literally an email that says, oh, just forwarding this to you. Any thoughts? The anxiety that kicks in for me to go, oh, I need to open it. I need to read it. I need to understand it. I need to respond. Because then I've done the good job, because I've responded, because I've contributed immediately. No one else has contributed. No, just me. No one else is saying you need to contribute in the next 5 minutes of receiving this email. No, that's just on me. And so I tend to satisfy the need to have the information, and then I have to go, stop, just stop. And what I will do is I will just walk away. And if it's during the day, I will tend to pick up my phone and call someone and just ask them how they are. This is a deliberate thing. People think they get random calls from me all the time, but it's actually a strategy.
So it's for you.
For me, so that I can distract myself from the overthinking of the thing. And it can be as simple as responding to an email. It can be, today, because here it's the 1st of the month, I have to send out reminders for overdue invoices. Yeah, that one does my head in as well. There's a whole lot of anxiety and emotional attachment attached to that. So I deliberately distract myself from, I send the emails, but then I'm still overthinking.
Mhm.
Are they going to respond? When are they going to pay? If I phrase that properly, if I put all the right call to actions in there, like, oh, it just goes and goes. But I deliberately will, I don't know, have a conversation on Facebook Live, or just call someone to say hello, to check in on them and see how they are, so that I can deliberately force myself to focus elsewhere.
Because your check-in with them, although it's for you as a break, it also serves that other person. And because you're serving that other person, you are no longer in your head with the problem or
Correct.
whatever the anxiety, anxious thing is
Yeah.
going on.
And I would say it's okay to put some of those deliberate strategies in place.
Mhm.
It sounds like you automatically put that strategy in there. Didn't make it as strategic as what I'm explaining.
I
But
don't
just
think
for
it was
people who,
strategic. I think it was accidental, but accidental in a way. So my awareness is different now. So I notice these things more in myself than I would have in the past. So somebody who is unconscious may have had that break in their day and then felt good about themselves, but they didn't know why. I asked myself the question, why do I feel like normal again? I'm no
and
longer
then
thinking about that thing.
retrospectively,
Yeah, and then I can kind of put the pieces back on how I got there.
and me, I just put all the preventative stuff in place. So it's like, it's going to happen. I have to just have it there.
I think it's super smart. I don't think I ever would have thought of saying, "Hey, I'm going to go help somebody out today. I'm going to check in with them, see how they're doing, and just give 15 minutes of my time in a different way."
Yeah. Yeah. So seriously, I do that. It's a reveal. It is a bit of a reveal, because people are a bit, I do have a bit of a reputation for just picking up the phone and giving someone a call. I just don't know that it was sitting in my calendar.
But it's not a. I want to say it's not selfish. Um, but I think it's being properly selfish. And I know we've talked about this a little bit before, right? It's knowing yourself to put the strategies in place to take care of yourself, but you're also able to take care of others at the same time, which is interesting.
Yeah. And I'm not
Interesting
doing
mix.
it just to escape my thing. I'm
Right.
actually doing it so that thing that I'm overthinking can be pushed aside, because it teaches me that it's not actually a priority at all times. That other priorities can actually exist. So that's the learning that I continue to gift myself.
And you can't solve the problem from the problem energy. So it's the slowing down is necessary regardless of how it happens, whether it was an accidental or a shift in focus just because of priorities at the office, whatever. It doesn't matter how you got there. It's so that you do get there so you can start to access the ideas, the strategies, the possibilities that present themselves or that you're open to when that happens.
And I think that's the breaking away. When I suggested the breaking away from the past, it's the break. We have to cut it. Otherwise, we stay there. And it can feel like your original suggestion that it's ruining your present, because we stay stuck in the story. We stay stuck in the emotion. We stay stuck as the 14-year-old. And we've got to break it. And the pause is a great way to create a break.
And the past ruining my present has a victim mindset to it, has a victim mindset feel to me. So as much as I liked it, and I think it's kind of clickbaity, it's not a great energy to hang out in. It's a great way to, maybe it's a good place to start, as a realization, like, you know what, I am suffering right now because of what I'm carrying with me. But it doesn't have to be the case. I can break away from it. I just need a different way to look at it so that I can. I just wasn't there when I wrote the text to you to be able to break away from it.
Yeah. And I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? I think it comes back to this idea that we do something for one reason, but then we remain with it for a completely different reason. And sometimes the ongoing reason doesn't continue to serve us. And so we attach into it and we stay there. So we do. The only way we can break an attachment is to break it. There's no other way to get out of the attachment. And I mean, that is, I'm attached to, yes, it's a bit victim energy of when I was 14. There was significant, see, I still put a story on it. There's significant issues that occurred when I was 14. So what a surprise. When I speak to my sister, that's where I go, because the attachment's still there and the break hasn't fully formed yet. And that's, yeah, I mean, that's an extreme one for me. It's probably one that I should probably deal with.
But we all carry stuff from our childhood. This anxiety that I hold for, what happened a few years ago into today is probably not all from that, right? Like,
no, it's a combination. It's a collection.
Like I have drugged this thing with me from before 14, I'm sure, where I struggled, being in front of a room and being judged and not being good enough and all that kind of stuff that we've carried through in our lives, that we hopefully at some point deal with enough so we can become a functioning adult. However, it's still there in pieces. And it kind of opened up some old versions of ways I saw things, and I didn't disassociate from it then. I kind of stayed attached to it, and I brought it with me again a few years later to current Ian going into the gym. So,
well, it's great that I think the first step is to acknowledge we're doing it. I think that's really key. Sometimes we default back into that timing without realizing that we're defaulting back in time. So the acknowledgement's number one. I really like that process you suggested. What was it called from Esther Hicks?
The focus wheel.
Focus wheel. That's really cool. Anything to create a safe space. I think my version of that is that I create a safe space within me by reaching out to others and serving them, and that makes me feel safer. So whatever you can do to essentially change the focus point, right? And then I think we've got to let in that we're different. We're a different person than we were 3 months ago, 3 years ago. I can't do the calculations quick enough. Let's go 30 years ago. It's a little longer than that. And just acknowledge that we are different, and so therefore we could feel differently. And then that's the break. That allows us to maybe breaking into the present.
Oh, that sounds like the topic of another title of an easy conversation. Breaking into the present. Anyways, that's a lovely way to finish that off. Thank you for this.
That's all right. It was good.
It was helpful to talk it through, and to get maybe some different angles into how it can be perceived or looked at.
Yeah, awesome. Well, be interesting to see who can share what they might do to go through this process as well, because I'm always open for other suggestions.
Otherwise, Chris might give you a call and check in on you.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Awesome. All right, everybody.
All right.
We'll see you in a couple
See you all later. Okay.
Bye. Yeah.
Excellent.